Hi, you're watching Just the News. I'm Mamata Banerjee. In the news today, we take a look at what's happening in 5 states where the counting of votes took place just yesterday. We also talk about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It's day 16, but a particular focus on the new cities which are being attacked and Mariupol, which is the worst affected at the moment. Also in the news, among other stories, is an update on the Boers manipulation case. Now, this is our top story. We focus on elections. The BJP has retained all 4 states where it was in power before: Uttar Pradesh, Goa, Uttarakhand and Manipur. In the evening, congratulating party workers for the victory, Prime Minister Modi said, and I quote, "The 2024 general election result can be glimpsed in the result of the 2022 UP election," end quote. Now in Punjab, AAP had a landslide victory, where most of the Congress stalwarts, including party chief Navjot Singh Sidhu and Chief Minister Charanjit Singh Channi, have lost. Meanwhile, according to a report by ANI, Aam Aadmi Party leader Bhagwant Mann will take oath as the Chief Minister of Punjab on March 16th. Now, the Aam Aadmi Party had a landslide victory in Punjab. It won 92 out of 117 seats. The ruling Congress, in fact, won 18, down 77 from 2017. Meanwhile, in Uttarakhand, the Chief Minister and BJP leader Pushkar Singh Dhami, along with his state cabinet, resigned today, a day after results for polls were announced. Now, though BJP retained power in Uttarakhand, Dhami lost from the seat which he contested. He told reporters, and I quote, "As we have got a new mandate and our tenure is complete, we have tendered our resignation to the governor. I have been asked to continue until the new government is sworn in," end quote. Meanwhile, in Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath chaired the last meeting of his outgoing cabinet. The meeting was held at the Chief Minister's official residence in Lucknow. Now, he tendered his resignation as well to the governor. This marks the end of Yogi Adityanath's first tenure. The BJP had a massive victory in Uttar Pradesh, securing 255 seats in the assembly elections. Meanwhile, in Goa, Chief Minister Pramod Sawant, after winning the state assembly election, said, and I quote, "Today was the last cabinet meeting of the tenure. We thanked everyone. We also took a resolution to dissolve the assembly from March 14th as tenure is ending," end quote. He also said that the swearing-in ceremony of the new government will be decided by the Central Observer. In the meantime, in Manipur, Chief Minister N. Biren Singh on Friday tendered his resignation to the governor as well. The resignation comes as the BJP confirmed its return to power in the state, with the party bagging 32 seats out of 60-member assembly, according to the Election Commission website. Meanwhile, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee invited the Congress to help stitch together a joint opposition front to fight the 2024 Lok Sabha election together. Now, she told reporters, according to TOI, and I quote, "If Congress wants, we all can fight 2024 general elections together. Don't be aggressive for now, be positive. This winning will be a big loss for the BJP," end quote. Moving away from elections now to what's happening in Ukraine, the Human Rights Ombudswoman has said at least 78 children have been killed since Russia invaded Ukraine 16 days ago. She said fighting around the southern city of Mariupol, the eastern town of Volnovka, and the town of Irpin in Kiev region meant the authorities had not been able to establish how many people had been killed or wounded in these places. Meanwhile, Mariupol continues to see the worst kind of attacks in Ukraine at the moment, especially after an airstrike a day earlier that killed 3 people at a maternity hospital. It left 17 people injured. Now, Associated Press reported that civilians are scrounging for food and water in the city at the moment. The Deputy Prime Minister of Ukraine has said that more than 1,300 people have died in the 10 days that Mariupol has seen, where there's intense bombing and shelling taking place. There are also reports that bodies are now being buried in mass graves. Ukrainian president, however, told Russian leaders that the invasion will backfire on them as their economy is strangled. Meanwhile, Russia has now intensified its attacks and is now targeting several other cities in Ukraine, and these are fresh cities which had not seen bombing or shelling before. Russian strikes have hit east central Dnipro for the first time since Moscow's offensive began, killing at least one person. Also, Ukraine has said that Russian forces have allegedly hit a psychiatric hospital. However, they also said that nobody is hurt. In a statement, Ukraine's State Emergency Service said, and I quote, "All 30 staff and 330 patients were in a bomb shelter at the time of the strike," end quote. Now, Russian President Vladimir Putin gave the green light on Friday for up to 16,000 volunteers from the Middle East to be deployed alongside Russian-backed rebels to fight in Ukraine, doubling down on invasion that the West says has been losing momentum. Also in the news, in his late-night address, Ukraine President Zelensky has rejected claims by Russia that Ukraine is allegedly developing chemical weapons. Now, he said, and I quote, "I am the president of an adequate country, an adequate nation, and the father of 2 children, and no chemical or any other weapons of mass destruction were developed on my land," end quote. Now, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees has said that more than 2.5 million people have fled Ukraine in the last 16 days. The agency has said that about 2 million people are displaced inside Ukraine as of now. An update on Indian students who were stuck in Sumy. They sent many SOS messages for evacuation and calling for help as well. IF flight carrying these students from Sumy has landed in Delhi today. The students had boarded the flight from Poland. India has now expressed its gratitude to Ukraine, Russia and the Red Cross for helping it evacuate its citizens. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund has agreed to give Moldova further financial support after the government asked for a revision of its existing program. Moldova has over 2.5 lakh refugees from Ukraine. Away from Russia's invasion of Ukraine, in other news, and a trigger warning for people who are watching right now, the next piece of information is extremely disturbing. It comes in from Bengaluru, where a 16-year-old girl was allegedly raped inside the homes of 2 female tailors in Bengaluru over a period of 6 days. The Karnataka police have arrested 6 people, including 2 women. The police have lodged cases under the POCSO Act, kidnapping, human trafficking, rape, prostitution against the accused people. According to TOI, the mother of this survivor noticed a sudden deterioration of her health and took her to a doctor. Medical reports confirmed that the girl was repeatedly raped. Moving on now, the Indian government expressed regret over the accidental firing of an unarmed supersonic Indian missile that landed in Pakistan on Wednesday and ordered a high-level investigation on the same. Now, in a statement, the Defence Ministry has said, and I quote, "In the course of a routine maintenance, a technical malfunction led to the accidental firing of a missile. It is learnt that the missile landed in an area of Pakistan. While the incident is deeply regrettable, it is also a matter of relief that there has been no loss of life due to the accident," end quote. Also in the news, an army helicopter on its way to pick up an ill BSF personnel crashed near the line of control in North Kashmir today, killing its co-pilot and critically injuring the pilot. The Cheetah helicopter was about to land but drifted away because of the weather conditions. Moving on to business news right now, the CBI has told a Delhi court that the NSE's former group operating officer Anand Subramanian impersonated as the Himalayan Yogi and influenced the decisions of the former CEO Chitra Ramakrishna. Now, Chitra Ramakrishna was arrested on March 6th, and Anand Subramanian was arrested last month. This comes amid allegations against Ramakrishna that she was sharing confidential information of the boss with a Himalayan Yogi and had got Subramanian appointed in violation of the rules. Moving on to international news right now, China has announced a lockdown of over 9 million residents in the northeastern city of Changchun amid spike in COVID cases. Now, residents are required to remain home and undergo 3 rounds of mass testing, while non-essential businesses have been closed and transport links suspended. And one piece of good news before we wrap things up here on this bulletin, this is also sports news, comes from Ireland, where Cricket Ireland has unveiled its first ever full-time professional contracts for Ireland women as part of a €1.5 million investment in the women's game. Now, there will be 20 professional contracts offered, 7 of which are full-time contracts, 9 part-time and 4 non-retainers. Now, the investment amount is 3 times more than what the board had allocated in 2019. That brings us to the end of this bulletin. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.